Coach Ben here, and welcome to the Benchas. Our guest today is Westside Louie, and no, not Louie Simmons, but we got the next best thing over here. That would be Westside Lou. What's your real name, Lou?
Just Lewis.
Louis,
Louis,
Bond?
Lewis Bond, whatever you.
So we got Louis Bond, aka Westside Lou,
aka Big Fat Ugly.
Instagram. I wanted to
The artist formerly known as.
I want to delve into why the hell are you called Westside Lou?
Well, when I started coming to the gym to train with you guys, I was always wearing a Westside barbell hoodie.
That's true. I remember that.
Like every day. And I was just getting into geared powerlifting, like multiply powerlifting, and I had mentioned that I went to Westside Barbell to just get a couple training days in, just to see what it was about. And from then on, I was known as either Big Man or Westside Lou.
Big Man, that don't count.
Yeah, everyone's. Yeah, I know.
So you adopted Westside.
But it made me feel good. So, yeah, the first time I've been called Big Man. But I did. Yeah, I adopted the Westside Lou nickname.
It's much better than being called Little Man. You don't want that.
Way better.
So the first time I met you, you were bringing up the story of Westside.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty badass. What was the whole deal with that? You actually went down to Ohio.
Yeah.
To Westside Barbell. Talk about how the hell you even got into that.
So, for my 21st birthday, instead of getting like a bunch of booze, my parents got me a trip to Westside Barbell to train for 2 days.
How'd
So,
they do that? You know,
I honestly don't even know. I think they sent an email to the manager and they were just like, "Hey, can my son come train with you guys?" And that's basically it. So
I met your mom. She's a very nice lady. I'm sure she sent a very nice email,
Probably,
very
yeah.
courteous, and they must have let you in.
Yeah, I'm sure that's all it was. But I don't know the details of it because I definitely was in shock that I was even going. So at the time I had competed mostly raw. I had competed once single ply, but I was starting to, delve into geared power, like full on real life powerlifting, big boy powerlifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went, it was in January. My birthday was in December. I went in January. Went for 2 days. It was a dynamic squat session and a dynamic bench session.
So you're a upstate New Yorker.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden, your mom's like, "You're going to Westside Barbell over in Ohio." What the hell were you feeling? Were you nervous as shit?
I wasn't nervous until the drive to Ohio actually happened. So I'm with my girlfriend and we're driving to Columbus. We get to the hotel and I pretty much can't sleep. So I'm freaking out. I get up in the morning and all the stories I had read were like, "You cannot be late. You can't be late. Do not be late."
Early ass?
Oh, very early. It was, not very early. It was earlier than I was used to, but it wasn't too early. It was 7, I had to be there at 7 for training at 7:30.
Alright.
So, nothing crazy, but it was earlier than I, was used to at the time, I guess. But, I get there and I'm driving there and my mom calls me and she goes, "Lewis, I'm sorry, but Louie Simmons, he's not going to be there. I didn't know, but I just got a call. He was supposed to be there, and I'm really upset. Like, he should have been there. This was the whole thing. But apparently he had a meeting. I'm like, "Ma, don't worry about it. I'm still, like, at Westside. I'm still with all the guys. Like, it's crazy." So I pull up. I'm in the parking lot at the gym, and I call my mom. I'm like, "All right, Mom, I'm here. Like, this is happening. Like, thank you so much." And as I'm on the phone with her, a little red Jeep pulls up, like super old Jeep pulls up, and Louie Simmons starts waddling out. Yeah,
Man,
so then I'm like, right, because I don't have a lot of like those like hero figures, but to me that was huge. So I'm talking to my mom, like, "Ma, he's here. She's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." So I walk in and I'm pretty much shaking it right now, and I'm like a total puss, but what are you gonna do? These are like the people that I look up to.
Like it's not an open gym, right? You only hear stories.
Right. It's invite only, unless you make an appointment like I did, well, like my parents did.
The only stories I've heard is people like bleeding and
Right.
shaking, get punched in the face.
Right.
So I figure you're walking into a brawl.
Basically.
So I'd be nervous as shit.
Oh, absolutely.
I figure you're walking into Disney World and meeting Mr. Disney himself.
I'm very laid back in my training.
Is the Walt Disney of powerlifting.
Like,
Yeah, so am I.
when we train, we're just messing around.
Right, we goof around, but we get the training in.
Yeah.
This is definitely the opposite atmosphere. So I walk in, I set my stuff down, and I'm like looking around for somebody to, help me out because I had no idea what the hell was going on. I had no information. So I go and there's a little room right next to the entrance with like the stereo system and everything. So I look at and Jason Coker is in there, and for those of you that don't know Jason Coker, you probably should. He's a legend. 900-pound bench at 198. Like, the guy's a savage.
That's got to be the best bench ever.
Right,
in my
best
opinion.
period, best bench of all time.
It's unbelievable.
So I walk in, and this little dude with no neck, he's standing like this. He's plugging his phone into the music, and I'm like, hi, I'm here to train with you guys. Like, my name's Lewis. My mom made an appointment. Like a total loser. And he doesn't even, like, I have to look down at him to talk to him. He's short, but he's, like, jacked. He doesn't even look up at me. He stays looking at his phone. He goes, "You're not training with us." And I'm like, okay, shit. So then after that, I found Louis, and I found the people I was actually supposed to be training with. Like, there was two groups. There was like the actual like big guys, and then there was like the women and children over here. I trained with the women and children. And then, you know what? They were still kicking my ass. So.
Were they athletes? What was the deal? Just general people?
No, they were Westside Barbell athletes. They were members of the gym. It was just one of the very lightweight men. He was like 132 or I think 132, and then there was a couple ladies, and then some of the interns. So that's who I was training with that day.
So you got thrown into what we might call the B group?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, because the first thing Louis comes up to me and says, he goes, what do you squat? I'm like, I've squatted 620 in single ply gear. He goes, okay, so you'll be with them. You definitely won't be with the other group. They're squatting we're doing 5x5 today. They're working up to 850 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I'll be over here. I'll be over there. Don't worry about me.
What was your impression of the guys themselves versus maybe Louis? That was our contrast. So what was going on in that group A, so to speak, with Jason Coker?
Sure.
How was Louis? What was going on?
Louis was honestly very laid back. It was weird almost. Everyone else was sort of breeding that intensity. They were boiling up. To them everything's a competition, but to Louis he's really just facilitating that. So, they're screaming and hollering, but they're all yelling cues at each other. They're all like, okay, you need to do this better, but it was very, very intense, very, psycho. It was more than I was used to. Everything was moving like, okay, one guy would get done with his set, boom, next guy's already in. The guy following him already knows what height he's at, what weight has to go on the bar.
So it's very no bullshit. Like,
Bullshit.
You're just there to train.
Yeah.
No one's talking about anything else but training.
Right, they're not shooting the shit. It's nothing. It's every word out of their mouth was about training.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to me. That's something I like. I think there's a time and a place for that, but to me, I might get burnt out. At this point in my career, I might get burnt out doing that. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I think, ultimately, being at Westside, that would be the dream, but, like, I don't know if I can handle
I have
that
those
yet.
days on and off. Like, some days you need that intensity, I think, a little more than others. And then
For sure.
the other days, I just like to have fun with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, training to them is not about fun. It's about, that's their life.
Yeah,
like,
it's like
their
you're
girlfriends
there
come
to-
second, their jobs come second, their lives come second. Training is, like, their one and
Everything
only
in their
priority.
life revolves around training.
Right.
Yeah, and I can't say that.
What they
That's not my
eat,
number one
they
priority.
eat, sleep, breathe, training. Like,
Yes.
and you know what? I love it, but I don't know if I could handle a relationship. I don't know if I could if I could hold a job and train like they do. Although that'd be fun for a little while.
That sounds like a pretty cool experience.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So I remember you were telling me that story when I first met you. And I always came in with the West Side Barbell Apparel. So, West Side Lou it is.
That's the birth
Not
of
to be
West Side Lou.
confused with the real West Side.
The real West Side Lou number 2.
So, let's go back to the Arnie. I remember I actually competed 2 years ago, full power. That's when I met you. And then you just competed this past year down at the Arnold. How'd that go? That was your first experience, at least there, competing. Kind of tell us what happened there. How'd the lifts go?
It was.
This is multiply, full power.
Yeah, real lifting.
Yeah.
It was not my best meet, definitely. I had competed. My qualifying meet was, just everything went right.
Crushed it.
It was seriously like the perfect meet, honestly.
You had one deadlift at the end. I remember you hit your opener. You were, I think, were you going on the
I
lead
went
up?
so I went 600, 635.
But that wasn't your ticket punch.
Yeah.
Not 635.
Oh no, not
You went
635.
up.
My second
But you
attempt.
missed it.
I missed my second attempt. The carpet on the platform was brand new. So as I was locking it out, my feet slid out to the sides, probably like just a quarter inch, but that was enough to make me lose my balance.
Yep.
So 635, I get like this at lockout, and I fucking drop it, and oh my god, it's pissing me off to this day.
But you knew it
But
was
so
technical.
yeah, it was technically.
Not strength.
The strength was there for sure. So I go and sit down, and John comes over to me. John Gaglione, for those who don't know. John comes over to me. He goes, "Well, you need 1925 to make the total. That's what you need. That's why we're here. So you have to deadlift 670." And I said, "Well, John, I've never even picked that up before. I've never held that in my hand." And he said, "Well, it's either you're not in the meet, or it's either you don't qualify and don't deadlift 960 or 970, or you go up a little bit and still don't qualify, like 670, 960, whatever." I'm not pulling that. He's like, you either qualify and pull 670, or you are out of the meet regardless. So you have to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Still gonna do it.
Right, load it up. So that definitely was like, I think that was the best lift of my career to date.
It was pretty cool because we
That
knew
was
that was your ticket punch. One of our other lifters, she just missed her last one, so she didn't quite qualify.
Barely.
And then you were there, and I don't think anyone else was trying to qualify that day. So if you didn't punch your ticket, well, kind of a shitty day.
Yeah.
So
I
get up
made
there, and I know I took a behind film.
I got the front
man.
all
I
set.
had the best film of the day.
I think
Whole
I had the
crowd,
best film
I
of the
think
day.
what Gene say something, I don't know. There was the crowds getting up. It was pretty awesome.
That was crazy, yeah.
You just freaking grip and rip, baby, and it just rides up, and then everyone's yelling, and we knew he punched his ticket. So that got you into the Arnie. And what
Yes.
total was that?
That was 1925. So I
You
had
needed
an
that.
820-pound squat, a 435-pound bench, and a 670-pound deadlift. So that's what I needed that day.
So we fast forward to the Arnie.
Yep.
What was your expectation of this meet? Obviously, you already been there before. You were handling something.
I had been there, but the atmosphere when I was competing was much different than when I was handling somebody. So I started off, I was handling my previous coach, Luke Pelton. He had qualified. He was competing raw. So I went, and he asked me to be my handler, or to be his handler, and I was helping him out the whole day, and it was very different. There was a lot of competitors in the elite raw category, so there was a lot of time in between things. It was like a typical meet. When I competed, there was 17 lifters total in the whole session, so things were moving very quickly, way quicker than I remember, or not that I remember, but than I was used to. I don't think my conditioning was as good as it should have been. Because by the end of it, when I got to my third attempts for all the lifts, I was gassed, and then by the end of the day, I was shot. But the whole day, we were done very early. It was just past noon, which it usually runs till around 3. So
There was not many lifters.
yeah, and people were bombing out like crazy. Like there was 17 of us. By the end of squats, we were down to around 11 people.
Yeah.
By the time deadlifts came, it was like me and a few other guys. It was like, what the hell's going on? But they actually had to slow down the meet and give extra time in between attempts just to account for the speed that we were going at. So starting off on squat, like everything was going good. I took a 5-pound PR on my second attempt, which was huge. It went up like butter. It was very easy. I took 825 on my second, and then the plan was 850 on the third, but 825 just moved so well. I'm not gonna just take 850.
5-pound PR, correct?
What?
850.
No. That would have been
15.
that would have been a 30-pound PR.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but Coach Ben over here was like, nah, F it, we're going big. I'm like, don't tell me what we're squatting. So it's the bars loaded for Louis Bond. I get up and it's 865. That was big weight. Stand up strong with it. Come down. I get the up call from Benny. Comes up okay at first. I have a little weird bobble, but I finished the lift. So I got called for downward movement. The spotters grabbed me a little bit, so I got called for that too. So it was 2 reds. It was 2 to 1.
I don't even know if you got called for downward movement.
Yeah, that's what it was.
What
Yeah. Looking at
it looked like they jumped it quick.
They did, but they didn't.
It.
They tapped it a little bit, but not enough to where it would like help me. But still, just them touching the weight, it's an automatic red. Yeah, I was pissed about that.
That one
so
sucked.
That sucked. But you know what? I finished
Still
it.
had a 5-pound PR.
Yeah, 5-pound PR. That if I made that squat and had everything else go the way it did, it still would have been a 20-pound meat PR, which was that's crazy. So I think 10 or 15 pounds maybe, maybe 20. I can't remember. But going on to bench, I missed my opener like a jackass. Like that should not have happened. Warm-ups were going well. Felt a little heavy, but nothing crazy. Like I'm always used to, the weight feeling heavy anyway. So I go up for my first attempt, and the bench is actually lower. Like the actual bench, it was lower than what we have in the warm-up room. So I can't get my setup right, and then I forget to have the bar raised to my proper height. So I'm taking it out. Yeah, so I'm taking it out like this. I had to have basically like a big tricep extension to get my bench in place on the handoff, and I just completely effed it. I touched way too low. I came up, and you get with the shirt that I have, which I'm not particularly a fan of. You get a big drive off the chest, and then it completely dies. So you really need the top end strength, and you need to be in perfect position. I was not in perfect position, so I couldn't recover. So came up and dropped it immediately. So I'm pissed about that. So all right, whatever. Next attempt, I'll just retake it. I fix the setup. I make sure I'm tighter than normal because I have to be because the bench is too low. Benny helps set the bar at the right height. He remembers because I, again, didn't. But that came up like butter. That was like an empty bar. Same thing. It was 420 pounds, yeah. So then went up to, on my third, 440. Same exact thing as the first attempt. I touched too low, and it died. So that sucked. Moving on to deadlifts, I think I was just gassed by the end.
Yeah.
My opener moved a little slower than normal. Second attempt was an all-out grind, even though it was 10 pounds. Yeah, it was like I gave everything I had left in me in that second attempt. And then that was 660. Went on to 680 for a 10-pound PR, and that would have given me a total PR, I think. Or tied my total, my best total. It went up to 680, got it up to around my knees, and just completely died. It murdered me. So, a lot of things throughout the whole day. It was sort of like killing my momentum. Like I'm pissed off from the squat. Like F it. Then I mess up on the bench. God, this place sucks. And then I screw up on the deads just because I'm tired and I hadn't
know
eaten.
what you're gonna get at a meet like that.
Right. It was my first big meet.
It's like going to war. You don't know what's gonna happen. It's like you're shipping off the war. But there's a lot of big stigma around the Arnie. Everyone wants to compete at the Arnie. Why do you think that is? Why is it such like a popular meet? Obviously, there's some qualifications that go along with it. But what's up with everyone wanting to do the Arnie? Like, what is it about that weekend and everything else in your opinion that makes it so big?
I just think it's it's a fun meet. It's a great atmosphere. You actually have some real competition. Because leading up to that, it's basically everybody is competing against themselves, which sometimes, I'll be honest, just isn't that fun. It's kind of boring. Just going to meet after meet after meet and just winning every time, it's like you kind of get a big head. without necessarily anything to back it up. You know,
Like
having an actual competition setting against real lifters that you might lose to, that's way different.
It's
Way different.
Big fish, small pond kind of syndrome. You get from meat to meat to meat.
Exactly. So, you know, competing at, you know, I just graduated from Hofstra. We would host meets, and there were no multiply guys ever. Like, the first multiply meet I ever did, it was kind of a smaller meet. It was last year, Heat Wave in July. I took, my opener squat was 400 pounds heavier than the previous squat. So then everyone else's first attempt, it was like, okay, it was 3 something was the squat before me, and it's okay, bars loaded to 735, and everyone's like, what's going on? So, you know, it was fun to actually have some real life competition.
You like it because it brings together all the multiply guys, and for those that don't know, multiply is just with the assistance of, you know, wearing material to help you with the lifts, so to speak. Almost like a slingshot. I hate to say that though, because it's not like a slingshot.
Not at all.
But you have that assistance of equipment that you wear, but it brings all those guys together and girls into one meet, and there's only one trophy. That's first place.
Right, first place only. I ended up getting third, and even if like I had PR'd my total by like a ton, I still would have got third. So that meet, it didn't necessarily matter whether or not I PR'd. The whole goal was just to win, and that by the end of squats, it wasn't happening anyway. Had I stuck with it, you know, made all my squat attempts, made all my bench attempts, I still would have been in it. But I might have squeaked out second place. But it doesn't matter anyway, because if you're first, if you're not first, you're last. You know, Ricky Bobby.
So I guess that's why I enjoy it too. Just it's real competition. You know, you're not there to just PR your total.
Right.
You're there.
You're there to compete. You're there to win.
You're there to win.
Kick everyone else in your weight class's ass.
Right.
And I think that's real fun and interesting, because after a while, it's great to think that way when you're a beginner, just trying to up your total every time. But after a while, you want to actually compete with someone.
Sure.
That's kind of why we all get into it. I came from a baseball background, and you compete with people. So I'm real competitive. Everyone knows that. I always try to egg people on. But like, you need some ass to kick every now and then. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think that in combination with just the Arnie weekends, biggest sports festival around, it's just such a great time. I always love going down there. Even though I don't think Columbus is the greatest place ever.
Might not be, but back to Ohio.
as we covered in our Arnie recap show, I think we can host it somewhere else maybe. But it's always a good time, and that's why I enjoy the meet too. I figured we'd get into a little bit of gear talk for those that might not know.
Yeah, baby.
You know what multiply is or what it encompasses. So, what would be like your basic breakdown of what multiply or even single ply would be? Some of the things you wear, all that.
So the difference mainly between multiply and single ply is the amount of layers that you're wearing. So single ply, you get one layer of a supportive polyester fabric. It's very tight generally, like bone crushingly so, to the point where you can't breathe, which, you know, that's not my cup of tea. I competed in it once. I don't know if I'll do it again. It's really tough. Multiply is, you're allowed, I know the RPS rule book says you're allowed, for the squat, you're allowed 2 pieces of supportive equipment, so a pair of briefs and a suit, and each piece of equipment, at the time I was competing amateur, for amateur you're allowed 2 layers of fabric per garment. So it's 2-ply briefs, 2-ply suit, you're good to go. For pro, it's unlimited amount of layers, but still 2 garments, unlimited amount of layers per garment. So you could have like a triple ply, but then a lot of times you're not getting
at that point, you're just like stacking t-shirts upon t-shirts kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're getting much more support, but also too, that's not always what you want, just because now
right.
a little more tricky to hit depth on the squat.
The amount, every layer you add, it becomes almost exponentially harder to control. Mm-hmm. So squatting in single ply, you can watch a lot of like the IPF people, you know, squatting I know it's big in the IPF single ply mostly, not so much everywhere else. But in the IPF, they'll dunk their squats. You know, they'll drop real fast, they'll sink it really deep. You can't necessarily do that in multiply. The deepest squatter in multiply by far is Gene Rishlak. He, in a canvas suit and briefs, still dunked 1,000 pounds to the basement. The guy's a monster. Now, I squat pretty deep in multiply, but I know when I've hit depth because I can't see anymore. Like, you literally lose your vision.
It's a lot of pressure compared to rock.
It's a lot of pressure
through that compression.
Yeah. So the easiest way I can compare the pain, I guess, and like what it feels like on your body is multiply is like being squeezed to death by an anaconda, and single ply is like getting bitten by a police dog. So you know it's pinching in all the spots. Yeah, you're you know, the bench shirt, you'll get a giant bite marks on your pec coming up here across your chest. I get them in my armpits, in my triceps for single ply. But multiply, it's just like a lot of pressure. You sort of have to ride the weight down. You know, it's a crushing pain versus a biting pain. So
for someone that is like, now I will never do.
Now I will. No. It's not unbearable, but it hurts. But you gotta pass through that. You gotta push through.
If someone's freaking out right now, they're like, well, I'm just gonna stick to raw. Why would you ever want to do the single ply multiply? What are you getting out of doing it? What do you enjoy the most out of it?
The reason I wanted to do it is because I was bored with raw lifting. I mean, I'll be honest, raw lifting is freaking dumb. It's boring. It's no fun. You know, it's just the same thing every single day. Like, okay, I'm squatting 5 by whatever today. Who cares? I'm benching 6 sets of BS. Like, no, it's lame. It's the same thing every time. So with multiply and with single ply even, there's a much greater degree of like technical prowess you have to show in order to lift the weight. So it's a challenge every single day. If you're 3 pounds overweight, you know, over what you normally train at, you're not going to touch your chest when you bench. If you're 3 pounds underweight, it'll sink to your chest and you're not going to get any pop. So it's almost down to a science. It has to be very precise. You can't muscle anything. You have to be strong, but you have to be perfect. And if you're not perfect, you're going to catch the bar with your teeth. You're going to have to dump it off your back. You're going to have to ditch it. You know, it's much more fun because there's, you know, a little fear involved. You know, there's
really hurt yourself.
Yeah, and you really have to be a technician, and if you're not, you're just not going to be successful.
And there's nothing that on top of that, why would you want to lift less weight when you could lift more?
Yeah,
more weight.
Exactly.
That's a big one. Lift more weight.
Yeah. Oh, how much you bench? I tell them, 435 with a multiplier.
I was at a commercial gym once. The guy asked me because I think he saw my Big Benchas shirt. And he asked me, hey, big man, what you benching today? Or how much you bench, he asked me. I said, at the time it was like 650. I told him. And he just gives me the biggest look. And I didn't classify if that was multiply or raw. I just told him 650.
Right, you don't have
and
to.
He was like, why are you doing that today? I want to go watch you. And I was like, no, I'm more like 135 today. But
and that probably gassed you, didn't it? 135.
Yeah.
You were doing it for like set to 20, right?
Yeah.
Fresh off of
650 was like last week.
Right.
So, yeah, but I'm not going to tell them if it's wrong shirt. I'll just tell them the best lift. So
For sure.
That's what you get. But, yeah, that's what I love, too. It's taking the strength you have. You have to have a good raw base, and then it's just adding different dimensions to it and making it a lot more difficult in a lot of different ways. You got to control your body weight, control your technique.
For sure.
The training's a little different. I actually want to talk to you, too, about the differences in the training versus raw training. Like, how so? Is training in multiplier, single ply gear going to be a little bit different than getting into a raw gear per se? And maybe some of the training tools too for someone just getting into it, like Titan Ram or Slingshot.
Sure. So training multiply is much harder. It's
single or raw?
Both.
Or both.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. You know, I know like Mike Toucher, he gets away training alone in single ply, like in a commercial gym, which I still think is bananas. But you know, Blaine Sumner trains alone in his single ply gear a lot of the time. I know I couldn't do that. I'm just not as good as them. But you know,
I'm not as good as some of the best in the world.
Right.
You know?
Right. But raw, you can train alone. It's very easy. You do a bunch of sets, a bunch of reps, you get out of there. Multiply training is a lot more singles. It's a lot more developing technique. it's a lot more getting accommodated to the pressure of the weight. So a lot of times it's you're not it's not as high frequency, not as high volume. Otherwise, you would just burn out. I'm in the shirt once a week for 2 weeks on, 1 week off, and I still need more time to recover. I take one heavy squat in full gear before a meet. That's it.
So
otherwise I'm
you're
dead.
saying the majority of your training still raw for the most part.
Well, in all my squats, I still use briefs because I want the overload. I need to have the heavy weight on my back, because if I'm training sub 400 pounds all the time for a bunch of reps, I'm not going to be prepared to squat 800 pounds, 800, 900 pounds. It's just not going to happen.
So you use minimal gear, and then you're just kind of layering on more as you go.
Right, so I'll use minimal gear. I won't use knee wraps, mostly, until, again, my last heavy couple squats. I will not use my suit. I pretty much just stick in my normal, very broken in 2-ply briefs. They definitely give me a lot of support, but it's not so much to where I'm not using my own body to lift the weight as well, So I'm getting definitely some carryover out of it. For sure. I can squat 700 in my briefs. I can squat, close to 600 without them.
So what's the difference between briefs and a suit for someone that's not sure? Briefs is kind of like half suit, right?
Yeah, the squat briefs is just the bottom half of a squat suit, and then you add the squat suit on top. It's another bottom half with it's like a big old singlet that can stand up by itself. So
so majority of the training is done in the briefs. It gives you enough enough support that you can add that weight, but it's not like wearing a full suit where you need 800 something pounds to even think about depth.
Right, I can't even get to depth until I have my opener on my back when I'm squatting. It's that tough. But the briefs allow me to train with, and I force myself to train with the same technique as if I had my full gear on. So I'm still trying to basically picture I have this full suit on, full knee wraps on, everything. But it lets me train without that crazy overload stimulus to where I'm killing myself every day. And I pretty much stick to either singles, maximal effort singles, or a speed, triples and doubles to work the briefs, work the explosive power out of the bottom there.
So it sounds like to me there's a lot more fatigue management.
100%. Yeah, and that's actually a major problem I had when I was training for the Arnold, is not to make excuses or whatever, but I had just started my final semester of college. I had just gotten an internship, so I was up every single day at 4 in the morning, Monday through Friday. I was up at 4 in the morning. I wouldn't go to bed till around 10, 11 at night. So I'm not getting much sleep. I had not as much time as I would like to eat. I found myself in a bit of a rut, not wanting to train, because it was freaking tough. I was working with all the D1 athletes on campus. I was the strength and conditioning intern. I was up at 4 in the morning to be with the volleyball girls at 5. I would train from 5 to 9 with them. I would go to class with multiple teams. I would go to class, come back, try and find something to eat, go back to class, back to the internship, and then at night have to come train. Wow. And then do homework at night. It was killing me, So I wasn't eating right. I would have a large Domino's pizza per day.
You gotta get it in, right?
So I wasn't eating as much as I should. I wasn't eating right. I'm having McDonald's sausage burritos at 4 in the morning with a big cup of coffee, and then trying to find time to train. It really was wearing me down. So fatigue management is huge. If you're not eating, if you're not sleeping, if you're not doing the thing, actually recovering, true recovery, not I'll take an ice bath and that'll make me better. It won't. You need to sleep. You need to eat. The best advice I think Coach Ben has ever given me, aside from actual bench press help, is all you need to recover from a good workout is a big meal and a nap. That's all you need. And he could not be more right. Is you need to sleep and you need to eat. And I wasn't doing that because I physically could not. I didn't have the time. and
Yeah.
that was a major issue for me. So forcing yourself to eat properly and to, hindsight is 20/20. Obviously, if I were to redo it, make sure I'm getting to bed on time, doing my homework when I can instead of staying up all night and doing that, playing video games. Like, I needed to sleep, I needed to eat.
Well, you see all these people getting, granted, these things are helpful. You see all the voodoo wraps out there, all
Sure.
this other stuff that you can get your hands on, the stim machines. At the end of the day, if you just eat a shit ton, right? Make sure you got that caloric surplus, feeding your muscles.
Yeah.
Take a damn nap. You're gonna feel pretty good.
You're going to feel great.
So,
Nothing's gonna kill you more than
and guess what?
chronic sleep loss.
Yeah.
While food costs you money, a nice nap does not. And I could fall asleep anywhere. You just give me some ground to lay on.
I'm right there with you, Ben.
So it is the least expensive, most efficient mode of recovery. Taking a goddamn nap. So, Louis, I actually wanted to, first off, do you think you could have done that raw, just for the difference? Do you think you could have done all that and still trained raw and been at the Arnie raw versus multiply? Does it really conk you out more so?
I think
Or you
multiply
just barreled out?
multiply is absolutely more strenuous on your body. I'd have to, the last couple weeks of training, I'm squatting 800 pounds, back to back, like week after week. And, I'm taking like my heaviest reverse band, and the reverse bands don't really help that much, the ones we use. Every week I'm taking a massively heavy bench, and then we're doing, with you, I was doing those singles, the heavy raw singles. It's crushing me. So it just, the wear and tear, like, not only on your body, but like on your mental health and like just your sanity. It's tough, and you need that time to recover. I think if I were doing it raw, my training would be way different, and just that CNS fatigue that you're getting from standing up with over 800 pounds, unracking it, taking it to depth, standing up with it again.
Yes.
It's way harder than doing, a few reps.
Yes.
Absolutely. We get out there?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna just pause.
Yeah, your internet blows
Yeah,
today.
it does. It's fine.
It's a downgrade.
But yeah, it's like when I'm prepping someone for a meet, if it's multiply, whatever it is, it's like I know what's about to happen mentally. Yeah. Within that 6 weeks, it's like a guy on constant period until the meet. Just like crabby, very irritated easily. But you understand that because I've been through it as well. And I always go through that too. Like when I'm closer to a meet, I get agitated more. It's not about my training. I don't really want to get involved with that, and I get easily frustrated.
Yep.
But it beats you up pretty good. Granted, now that I'm just focusing on bench, it's a lot easier than trying to focus on all the lifts. Because it is tough. I give you that. It is really tough to bring it on squat, then bring it on bench the next day, and then have to deadlift a shit ton, and then do a bunch of singles raw.
Right.
It's a lot. So that's very difficult.
That's why it's so impressive to me. Like when I went to the pro day at the Arnold, just to watch. I was on the elite day again. Not that good. But I went to the pro day, and someone like Matt Minuth, whatever. He's squatting a grand and then benching 900 and then deadlifting over 7, 8. I can't remember what it was, but that's outrageous, And being there and being like into it and having your body ready for that, that's insane to me.
It's nuts. That guy deserves a 2-week nap.
Yeah, just 2 weeks straight.
Put him in a cave.
Because like after when I was competing raw, I would, I'd take all my attempts on meet day. The day after, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to train again. I might take the day after off, but then Monday I'm back in it. Like I'm ready to go. I am donezo for a week when I'm done with a multiply meet. Like you feel like you got hit by a train. It's no joke. It's way harder.
Like I even know Ben was talking before, after his 650 bench, he goes down to a plate.
Yeah.
And it beats him up.
It was not even a plate.
Right, he had to work up to it.
It was a quarter. No, I couldn't even work up from the quarter. Because you get used to singles for like 8 weeks straight. That quarter, you try to do paused reps, 20 reps of it, That will freaking kick your
It will
ass. Beat up.
destroy you.
I tell you, it's never more embarrassing after the meet when I'm trying to do a quarter. I literally cannot do a quarter. That's how bad it is.
That's why I like, West Side. They compete on Saturday. They're back max effort squat
Yeah,
on Monday.
they
They don't ever take a break.
They got one speed that's heavy all the time. And if you break, you're out.
All right, you're done.
Only the strong survive.
Yeah, heal up and get back in. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, you mentioned you had that strength conditioning internship.
Mm-hmm.
You just graduated school, bachelor's, right?
Yep.
You did your 4 years, whatever, at Hofstra at Long Island, New York. And you want to pursue a strength conditioning career, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
So tell us a little bit about, you did some internships. Tell us a little bit about internships, like the differences in some of them, and then kind of why you want to pursue that career, what you like about it.
Sure. So, my first internship ever was actually at Hofstra. It was like a summer camp internship, for strength and conditioning. We had to introduce a bunch of like high school athletes to what it would be like in a D1 program. So we would put them through sort of what was expected of them we treated them as a D1 athlete, essentially, while still remembering they were, 13 to 18.
Yeah.
So it was basically, training-wise, it was the same as if they were a D1 athlete, but they also had classroom time, so they were learning, about strength and conditioning, mechanisms of, muscular force and, what they're, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The science behind it, in addition to the training. So that was great. Working with young kids, I had never really done that before. I then moved into an internship at Gaglione Strength. I was sort of a coaching intern, but my real purpose behind it was, originally in my head I wanted to learn a little more about the business side of things, because I had wanted to open a strength and conditioning facility.
Yeah. We are teaching athletes as well there, So.
Right. But at the time, I was like, I want to own a gym. That's my goal. I want to own a gym. I want to train lifters. I want to coach lifters to be lifters. That's what I want. Okay. And that was great too. I made a lot of great relationships there. That was my first real opportunity to coach. And then finally, I just finished my third internship at Hofstra Athletics. I was working with the D1 athletes under Jimmy Prendergast, best coach in the world. That guy's the man. The athletes were calling me coach. I was actually coaching them. I was programming. I was writing out year-long programs for them. It was sweet. So that was my real foray into coaching, and
that's specific to what you want to do.
Now, yes, because originally I'd wanted to open the gym, but now I'm like, wow, collegiate strength and conditioning, that's definitely the life for me. It's fast-paced, which I definitely need, because when I have too much downtime, it was non-stop. It was rapid fire from 5 in the morning until 9:30. You get a little break, and then in the afternoon, boom, more athletes come in. It's session, and then we would take a break, and then session, because the coaches need to get work done too, and the athletes have classes. So during that time, you can still get your work done, but I think I have undiagnosed freaking ADD. So I need that constant
stimulus.
Yeah, that intake of a high velocity environment, to where that's where I thrive in. I always work best when I'm busy.
You can't be left to your own devices. You need things to do all the time.
I need to be busy. If I'm not busy, I'm a little complacent, and that's something I'm really trying to change about myself. But so in that environment, it was great. Waking up at 4 sucked, but I got used to it, because I'm like, this is great. How bad is it when you're in a gym? Teaching people how to squat. That's badass. It's fun. So that's definitely what I want to do. I am looking at jobs right now back home where I live in Rochester, be with my family, and search for that entry-level job while I get my master's degree. And I'm working on getting my CSCS right now, my Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist.
So I want to ask, what's educational requirements? Are you doing a lot of schooling
to
get this position?
Yeah.
I mean, this position's not handed out to everyone.
No, sir. So
takes a while.
to even be considered for a strength coach job, the absolute minimum you need is a bachelor's degree, and basically not a school on earth will accept you unless you have either your CSCS, which is your Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist certification from the National Strength and Conditioning Association, or you need your strength coach certification. It's the SCCC from the CSCCA. Yeah, so it's you either need one of those two certifications or both. You need USA weightlifting on top of that a lot of times. You need to be obviously CPR certified, but that is bare minimum. If you actually want a job, you need a master's degree. You know, it's generally not required. It's not like it's across the board required. Some places will accept a master's degree and a CSCS as their bare minimum. But you know, if you get a master's, you're obviously in a separate pile. You're going to be considered more. So a master's degree typically in my field can take anywhere from 1 to 3 years. I can get it done pretty quickly, and it's stuff that I enjoy. You know, Hofstra is a great program that I'm looking into as well, that I might start either next semester or something like that, but you know, not in the fall, in the winter.
So it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and it's not a lot of pay. I don't know why I'm doing this.
It's really not.
It's not a lucrative position at all.
It's not, but it's like you just gotta love doing it, man.
100%. It's a labor of love.
You could do that education and do something else that could earn you more, but then you might not. It's a trade-off between doing what you really like to do and then sitting at a desk potentially, and having to make more money, but sit at the desk all day, and that sucks.
Definitely. I mean, all my happiest moments since I've been in college have all happened in the gym. You know, or competing, or you know, that's where I make the most friends. I'm building those relationships. It's always been in the gym. I'm happy in the gym. I'm happy under a bar. Like, I want to make my career out of that. That's like, why wouldn't I do that? You know, I definitely could just sit at a desk selling some like medical equipment or whatever the hell, I don't know. But I mean, I would be
working for the money, and then you'd just be working with money.
Right. And it might not even be more money. You know, so I'm happy. I would rather make less money and be happy.
Yeah, that's what I always say.
You know, doing something every day, full time, for something you hate, it's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
You're really working to get money, which you think will bring you to happiness, but then you're stuck at work and you're complaining about work.
Right. So you're taking all your time at work, so I'd rather be...
It's actually really dumb.
Right. It's really dumb.
You might as well look at what you want to do and do that.
Right, because I can live my life around how much money I make, but I can't, you know, like do the opposite where I'm just trying to work for money and not be able to live my life.
Yeah, that's deep. We can do a whole podcast on that deep shit. But,
if you can't be happy in life, then what else is there?
Right, I would much
Elvis would love
rather.
That podcast. He reads all these deep books.
Philosophical.
He reads a lot of those deep books. What do you read nowadays?
What are you reading?
I'm rereading The Alchemist right now.
Okay.
I feel that's a good book to read.
What
Man, how do I explain this without giving out the whole book, you know?
I'm not going to read it. I don't give a shit.
It's basically a story told in finding your meaning in life, finding the happiness in life, and creating it. But it all told through a fictional story.
He's very deep like that. He reads a lot of that stuff. He should really navigate himself to the mountains and just have his outlook at life for years.
I'd just be like a shaman or something.
Yeah.
Listen,
medicine man.
There's this temple in upstate New York / Vermont area, and this dude stayed there for 15 days.
A temple? Like what kind of temple?
So it's these Russian Orthodox people who are monks, and there's nothing there. They just meditate all day.
That sounds like a nightmare.
And train dogs.
And what?
Train dogs.
Oh.
That's how they make the money. Train dogs.
Bad.
Yeah.
I'll train a dog.
I'll go there for a week.
I'll train a dog.
So Louis, you got future meet coming up. What's the next thing for Westside Louis?
The Back from the Ashes meet. That's gonna be sick.
What is that? What fed? Where is it?
So RPS in New Jersey hosts. I can't remember the name of it. It's not Jersey Rumble. I don't know what it's called. The title of the meet, but my buddy Mike Skiba, shout out. He, along with Alex Omand and Gene Rishlak, they are hosting in New Jersey a gear palooza. You know, it's a big equip battle. It's
So for multiply, single-ply people, it's just a gathering of them?
Yep, it's a...
So 0 raw.
Yeah, 0 raw. We're having a whole session to ourselves. It's going to be... everybody, all lifters are putting in some cash on top of their entry fee. And whoever has the best Wilks out of each super class, they take home the pot. So I'm the lightest in the heavyweight division, so look out. That money is mine. Yeah, so that's going to be great. It's going to be...
When is that?
That's in January 27th, RPS.
19,
Yeah. So...
You got a little ways to go.
Yeah, so everybody's putting in cash. There's going to be lightweight men, heavyweight men, and ladies division, and that'll be fantastic.
That sounds really fun. I like the
Chance to win some
cash
cash.
prize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think a lot of meets should just. I don't know how. I don't know the intricacies of
The
running in the
logistics
meets.
of everything.
Yeah, and having to set things up, who gets paid, who not. But I would love to see some money go out to lifters, even if it's just a big prize for like a couple people.
Yeah.
Just having that on the line, I think, is a nice draw, which is kind of lacking now. I mean, you're not even winning money at the Arnie. Maybe a sweet title, though. But that's about it.
Isn't there a cash prize if you're like best overall?
There might be.
Like
But
it's small.
Not,
It's minuscule.
Maybe 1,000 for the winner, which is cool. But
Yeah, not enough.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
really,
the U.S. Open is great because
U.S.
they're
Open's amazing payout.
right.
That's-
Amazing payout. 40 grand is
That's someone's
ridiculous.
salary.
That's
For a year,
ridiculous.
just for lifting.
Just for being strong.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
That's pretty cool. You think, look at bodybuilding; it's so big. It's got a lot of sponsors.
Right.
And there's a lot of money in play, and that'd just be cool if you see that come to powerlifting. Unfortunately, there's like 70 different federations, and no one knows what the hell is going on anywhere. So
Different rules for each one.
Yeah.
Different things.
yeah, so that's kind of tricky, but it would be cool. So I think that's a good start. Just people bringing back something like that,
Yeah.
organizing that type of event. And that'd be great, especially for multiply people. There's definitely more raw out there, but especially myself, I enjoy watching that equip lift, and it's just much fun to watch for me.
Yeah.
Because I know what's going on, and even a good lifter, there's always a chance for failing a lift.
Catastrophic failure.
Lots of bomb outs. I mean, even at my event too, you had lots of bomb outs
Yeah.
at the bench
Yep.
bash. Lots of bomb outs. 'Cause you never know what's going to happen. So it's really a wild ride every time. So Louis, we'll end. Will you ever go back to Raw?
I don't know. I mean, those couple weeks coming off of a meet where I'm like lifting raw, oh, they're the worst weeks out of my year. I hate it. I think multiply is just way more fun. I mean, I don't see. Yeah, you know, multiply guys like the equipped lifters, they always last the longest. You know, you see guys in their 70s still kicking ass. You know, just because they're in gear. Like I don't know if
Much
it's
more
gonna.
protected.
Yeah, if it's gonna save me in the long run, why would I go back to Raw? Raw's
Yeah,
no
we
fun.
had,
I'm lifting less weight.
Yeah.
Who wants to do
I
that?
want to look less weight.
Who wants to do
We
that?
had King Leo on, and we've had a lot of people on lately are transitioning from Raw over to Multiply.
To Multiply.
And that was one of the big things for him. You know, King Leo's a 44 or something like that.
Mhm.
And he's a little nervous. He's already had a shoulder injury and stuff like that. So he's getting into it. Another big reason. Not only to lift more weight, but also to extend his career. Because he knows, you know, you're probably one injury away from something not so great.
Yeah.
So he's getting in equipment now, so that should be fun. But yeah, I want to thank you for coming on here, Westside Lou. Had a good time with you. I think we delved into Multiply pretty good. Talked a little bit about your future endeavors. So where can we find you on Instagram?
If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Lou_Ban_220. LOU_BAN_220. And then I basically just post training lifts and pictures with my girlfriend. So
I gotta get that in the show notes so we can actually have, because I don't think anyone can read that in their head and follow. I'm just gonna post it.
It was
It's
easier.
6 letters. It's 6 letters and 3 numbers.
I couldn't follow. Listen, I was listening just now and I could not follow. So.
It used to be big, fat, ugly, and
It
it
used
was so
to
much
be.
easier to follow.
Much easier.
It used to be, but
So lube on 220.
you know,
until you
look
go up to 242.
right until I go up to 242.
And what's up with everyone in their weight classes? They always put their name and then their weight class, usually in kilograms. It's a USAPL thing.
That is a USAPL thing.
You
That's
just
why
put the pounds,
I put the
American
pounds.
units.
That wasn't.
units.
I don't really think that was necessarily my my weight class is why I put that, but that was my old when I started playing PlayStation online and had a screen name. That was my screen
Oh,
name. Yeah, it was
now
it was
it's your
Lou.
weight class.
It was a Lou Banana 220. now now it's just Lou Banana. I got a new PlayStation. I got a new name. So.
Well, you can find them on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Louis Banana
We'll play some Fortnite together. Yeah.
And then, small arm, leg strong.
If you ever said supposed
Let's see if you posted something this past week. I don't think so.
Something.
At small arm, leg strong. And we were considering what we wanted to make it. I said you should do strong leg, strong arm, leg small or something. The opposite. I'm at Bench Benny. Follow at Big Benches. You know where to find us. And leave a 5-star review on the iTunes if you're listening to this. Helps out the podcast a lot. And you can also catch the video on YouTube. There's a few really good hand gestures you want to check out. So check that out on the tubes. And give us a subscribe as well. Thanks for listening, guys.
This was the Benchcast.
The Benchcast.